Hello, you're welcome. It's Delia here. Uh, Today we're going to talk a little bit about new. What's new? And it's particularly vital right now and pertinent and dynamically important. There are a lot of changes going on. There are big seismic changes going on in society. Um, they have not stopped, and it's a little bit about it's a little bit like, I had a friend when I lived in the West Coast who used to say that spring in the West is a violent affair. A thing, ice cracking and melting, flooding, it's just everything's waking up. And that's a really great way, it's a great analogy for what's happening right now, um, with the changes people have started to really consider, how do we want to be a community and how do we want the community to run? And really, that's what politics is. It's it's how do we operate together? It had become a lot of other things, and but that is its nature. That's its job, its function. When it's based on competition, all this other greedy stuff happens. But really, it's about how do we operate together. Um, And how do we operate together as a large community? Because it's a big country, it's a large community. And it's, really great that so many people are thinking about it. So many people who never thought about politics are actually thinking about how does this community operate? And that's a wonderful thing. And it has taken a lot of alarms and a lot of wake-up calls and a lot of, more than nudges. After the feather, there's the 2 by 4, and after the 2 by 4, there's the Mack truck. And there's been a lot of 2 by 4s and Mack trucks going on. And that's really excellent because we had been, for whatever reason, and there's various explanations, but for the past 20 years, everybody had been asleep in reruns, and contentedly so, just watching the same thing over and over again. It's a little bit like binge watching a show that you don't hate or love. And now all of that's being disturbed. And there's a lot of waking up going on. And suddenly, like, oh, why are we doing it that way? Why don't we do it this way? Um, and another really useful analogy for all of this is like a operating system upgrade. And we all know how operating system upgrades go. There's always, you know, um, unintended problems and crashes and different things. So we're so unused to things going live and being live that whenever anything happens, we're like shocked and startled. And there are a lot of shocking and startling things going on, don't get me wrong. Um, but if you have that analogy of waking up, going live, it helps the body feel better about WTF is happening. Um, and one of the things that's been coming up in recently in some sessions was I was working with someone who I've worked with for a long time, and she's been doing energy work for a lot longer, a really long time. And uh, it occurred to me to ask uh, if something that's happening right now looked new to her, and she said no. And I'm used to our conversations including a lot of past life stuff, and it was fascinating because in that moment, for whatever reason, it dawned on me that uh, we never said something was new. And I did some work on that, and I discovered how this part of this uh, social amnesia. institutionalized amnesia. And institutionalized, I mean by media, telling the story over and over again and telling certain stories over again and asking questions from a particular point of view. I first became aware of this by seeing things posted on Facebook by supposedly reputable sciencey kind of things, like Smithsonian or whatever, and asking questions or being amazed when they discovered that, crows know how to use tools. And that has not been new news in a very, very, very long time. And yet the way it was presented and the way the question was posed, it was like shocking news. And so that's when I became aware, if you start to look for that, things that used to be common knowledge are now being presented as though it's a brand new discovery. So I'm not going to go track down and play search and destroy missions on all of that stuff. But consider, when is the last time you saw something new? And when is the last time, and this is kind of conceptual as opposed to physical, but physical too. One of the things with the lockdown has been, or the stay at home or the COVID life, has been literally seeing the same things every day over and over and over and over again. And there are times when I will take a drive literally just to see something different, just to see something different and to look farther than any of my sight lines, right? And it's because the COVID has lasted for so long, it's really been illuminating about repetitions and how the visual diet is as important as the mental diet and the auditory diet and the physical diet. All of these diets are really, really important. And by diet, I don't mean limitations. I mean, what are you consuming? And what we consume visually is important. I mean, one of the reasons that there is a desensitization about what happened at the Capitol is because there's so many movies like that. And since 9/11, there's been such a move to militarize our everyday life and to desensitize us to just the way basic training is meant to desensitize people to peacetime and human kindness and, walking across the street for each other, and into not trusting anybody and looking for where they could be hiding a weapon, right? It's this militarized, it often gets called paranoia, but it's actually a very specific mindset and auditory set and visual set, for the purposes of militarizing war, right? To make war a common thing in our daily lives. It's like the 9-year-old who was saying how the 9-year-old or ninth grader, school kid, saying how they didn't have much sympathy, must have been a ninth grader. They didn't have much sympathy for the people on the Hill, in the sense that he's had to go through a shooting scenario in his school like 6 times in his life. So there's a lot of things that are happening. And a lot of them are new, and how they're happening and the implications. There's just a lot of stuff that's happening that's new. But if we have an ear and an eye and a mind that says, oh, it's not new. For one thing, we're not being in the present. We're projecting the past onto the present and the future. And we're kind of allowing our future to be stolen by this institutionalized amnesia, because we've bought into the lie that nothing new can happen. So everything that just brought up for you, do you choose to destroy and uncreate all that times a godzillion? Yes, I choose that. Destroy, destroy, disintegrate, and erase. Destroy, destory, disintegrate, and erase. Destroy, destory, disintegrate, and erase. Vaporize, liquefy. So that's a clearing. It's an energetic thing. It's a way to move out the energy so that your eyes and your ears can actually see what's happening now. And in the real world, in the natural world, not the man-made world, not the media world, in the real world, new is all the time. And new doesn't get old just because it's frequent. So there's new life, there's new stages of the same life. The trumpet swan goes through, it's new, 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 new. And it's a very different mindset and perception skill set than same old, same old, same old, same old. I mean, it's an act of conviction. It's choices that make everything deadened and repeats. And it's an act of conviction and a mindset that makes everything brand new all over and over again. This is part of the reason why gratitude is so great, and appreciation. Because to really appreciate something, you have to actually look at it. And you can, you can do gratitude from autopilot. And the more we wake up out of autopilot, the more we're actually present. Then it is new, 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 and not repeat, 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 repeat. So a way to help break out of this is when you look at the horizon, there's a line, either the hill, whatever is on the horizon line, but there is something beyond it. And the beyond is not necessarily a repetition of what's on this side of the horizon line. You can be in a desert, and there will be a place where the desert turns into the verdant green of the hillsides. And if it is beyond the horizon line, if you stand in the desert and you predict that and project the desert onto beyond the horizon line, you're not taking into account anything other than where you've already been, and that whole verdant hilly green can seem not real when you've been in a desert for a really long time, and it's totally real. So everywhere that you have been predicting and projecting the past onto the future, no matter what, do you choose to destroy and uncreate all at times a gazillion? Yes, I choose that. Destroy, destroy, disintegrate, and erase. Destroy, destroy, disintegrate, and erase, vaporize, liquefy. Because the future does not have to be a repeat of the past. Your personal future does not have to be a repeat of the past. The future of politics doesn't have to be a repeat of the past. The future of a community, a family, does not have to be a repeat of the past. All new is not better, and all old is not better. Anything in your system that says, any programming, conclusions, decisions, assumptions that say that the past is good and the future is bad, everything that is, do you choose to destroy and uncreate at all times a godzillion? Yes, I choose that. Destroy, destroy, disintegrate, and erase. Destroy, destroy, disintegrate, and erase. Vaporize, liquefy. And anything in your system that says that the new is good and the old is bad, everything that is, do you choose to destroy and uncreate at all times a godzillion? Yes, I choose that. Destroy, destroy, disintegrate, and erase. And anything in your system that says that the old is good and all new is bad, everything that is, do you choose to destroy and uncreate at all times a godzillion? Yeah, I choose that. Destroy, destroy, disintegrate, and erase. Destroy, destroy, disintegrate, and erase. Vaporize, liquefy. So destroy is you want to destroy the energy. De-story is you want to take the story apart and stop having the story be integrated so it can fall apart. And disintegrate, which is literally disintegrating the energy from how it's been holding in place. And erase it. So these decisions, conclusions, assumptions hold things in place. They're like holding the walls together. And while there are times and places where you want to be inside a wall, inside a room, that's not like you don't want to go from room to room. You want to have some free range space in your life, right? Um, because that's what's real. The room, while it may serve a purpose, keep the rain off and that kind of thing, um, it's not real in the way of organic is real. It's man-made kind of thing. So the thing about new is that anything is possible. And that if you say, well, I'm standing in the desert and everything I can see is desert. So this talk about green rolling hills is all, you know, hooey or uh, magical thinking, then it doesn't serve anything to discount any other possibility other than something that's already existed. The only thing that serves is to keep us in like a man-made hell. Everything that brought up, you want to destroy and uncreate at all times again. So yes, I choose that. Destroy, disintegrate and erase. Destroy, disintegrate and erase. This mindset, this mass hypnosis is really thick and thorough. And so if you want to um, get out of it and to wake yourself up out of it, you can, and you have permission and you have the ability. And the more you are curious about things and the more you notice where there's no option, anytime there's no option, you're in a lie box because there's always something else that can be done and there's always something else that can be created. There's always something new that can happen. And if you don't have if your thoughts and if your perceptions don't include the possibility of a newness, something you've never thought of. I mean, it's one of the reasons that when people first come to me, they get tripped up with the work that we do, is because you can change your reality. You can change your physical reality, have a completely different experience of being in your skin in under 90 seconds. But the lie is so prevalent that you couldn't do that, or that it's not real, or that it won't stay, or that it's not your power, or it was a coincidence. It's so thick that sometimes people will make the shift and then they will just go back because it's like too different. It's too different. So now really is the time to wake up. The universe is doing everything in its power. The energy fields are doing everything in their power. The planet is doing everything in its power to help you wake up and to start to include the beyond, include new. Look for something new. Look for new things. Start to look for new things. Start to look to see something new. And start to see things new. Like you can see a new thing. You know, if you've never been to India, you can go to India on the internet and see new things. But also see things anew. So look at something that you've looked at 100,000 times and look at it and see if you can see something new. And because like 90% of sight is actually in your brain. So play with seeing something new every day and start to make friends with new and seek out new. And when you find yourself not tolerating a new possibility, notice that and then make a different choice. Remember that thing about the horizon includes the beyond, and start to include beyond what you can see and beyond what you can so far imagine. Excellent. All right. Thanks so much for being here. and I will see you on the internet.